go ahead.
All right. As Emmanuel said, a foundation, in order to play sports, any kind of sports, you have to have the heart to do it. So once you dedicate and commit the heart with the kids, now you give them the tools that they need in order for them to go on and be successful, regardless if it's a basketball, soccer ball, tennis racket, whichever sport it is. You have to base it off their love for the game and their commitment to play it.
Awesome, you guys. High fives all around. Well done. Well done. Everyone can have their piece back. You can have yours back and play with high five. Well done, you guys. So this actually has relevance. Aside from the fact that I enjoy the silly putty, but this is all about when you guys are thinking about creating your foundation. And the trick, as you think about your organization, is to make sure that we're aligned. We talked about in that last quote that few, if any, forces in human affairs are as powerful as a shared vision. So now, once you have this, how can this vision look, and what can happen? So when I first asked you guys to make anything, that's generally what's out there. This unaligned organization where people are, doing their own thing. They're doing it really well, but they don't know what's going on somewhere else. Then I said, make something sports related. So I kind of gave you guys an empowerment. I said, all right, we're all doing sports. And you all did different things, whether it's a racket, a ball, heart, a baseball bat, but different, not all together. And that's this empowered, where it's unaligned, but people are charged. You guys got a little bit more excited to do it. Then I said, let's make a scene together. Let's make something that is sports related. And you guys brought it right back to what's important here for PSA, and that we really try and foster love. We try and mentor students, work with parents, to do all these things that we love, so that then we can give them the tools to play their sports. So it was really cool that not only did you guys use the instruction to do something that is in this, where it's aligned, where you're empowered and going in the same place, but you actually tied it back to what you do every day. So when you think about what our vision is and how we're moving, always check to make sure that we're empowered, people are excited about what we're doing, but that we're all aligned and pushing in the same direction. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Cool. So then the thing that is sort of your guys' big charge is this concept of creating a culture. And when you guys think about culture, what would you say is the culture of PSA? How would you define it? Is there an adjective?
Dedicated.
Okay, so we're a group of dedicated coaches, dedicated leadership. What else? We're a group that cares about kids, that cares that sports has a wider relevance than just what's happening on a court or a field.
I see it as using sports to really shape the character.
Okay, so a big part of our culture, what we want to be part of our culture, is character development. And so that's your guys' job, is to create that. And the trick is, as we know in sports, is if we don't actively create a culture, whatever it is we want, whether it's that we are about character, whether it's that we're about having fun, whether we are about getting to the heart of things, whether we're about teaching technique, whatever it is, whatever that culture is, if you don't actively create it here with your coaches, with your athletes, the default culture in sports is this win at all costs, where they're only worried about the win. Now, winning's important. We know that. Our kids like it. We like it. Parents like it. Winning's important, but as we talk about, there's all these other things that sports can teach us. And, in defense of parents and kids, what do they have to look at as outside sports influences? What are they looking at? When they see sports, where do they see sports generally? TV, right? So TV, ESPN, maybe a newspaper, online, and those are professional sports that have a very, very different sort of model. It's a business model, right? They have to make money, and so it's an entertainment business, whereas we are more in the education business, and that we are trying to teach, we're trying to create and build character, if that's what you guys want. So we want to make sure that we don't do this. We know that culture is powerful, and at PCA, the way that we define culture is the way we do things here. So the way that PSA does something may be very different than Bay Area scores, may be very different than, who? Roadrunners may be very different than any, we can go through Palo Alto, Menlo Park, all of that, and find organizations, right? And everyone's going to be different, and that's cool. But we have to say the way that we do things here. So being really cognizant of what do you want, and how are we going to make sure it happens. So that's your second charge, right? So the first charge, we'll write your to-do list up here, right? So number one, we have the love versus the change, and you guys are going to talk about that. Number two, what culture do we want? And that's your second charge. And we're going to spend, a little bit of our time today, a lot of our time, talking about some ways that you can discuss that, some ways that you can dig down a little bit deeper. We'll do some of that digging, but again, short on time, so I'm going to charge you guys to do it. We'll maybe create some sub-bullets there. That sound like a deal? Mm-hmm. All right. And as we go, if you guys think, oh, Molly, add this to our to-do list, either come and write it or shout it at me, and if it's not too hard to spell, I'll write it up there. So, with that, this is a tool that we want to introduce to you guys. When you're discussing it, this concept of a red light, yellow light, green light. Have you heard of this ever? Yeah. Okay, so what have you heard?
Traffic light.
Okay. So how do you use it in a discussion for a meeting? Or have you used it?
Oh, I haven't used it in a discussion, no. But I've heard of the term, I just never put it in practice.
Yeah, so one way is if you guys are having a discussion, this concept that, before we start discussing the idea, let's throw it out there, and if we all agree, it's a green light, we don't have to discuss it, let's move on to something more important. If we throw out the concept, should we allow only the best players to play at the U9 level? Coach will decide at the beginning, so I'll throw this out to you, okay? So let's say I'm part of your board, and I say, all right, you guys, I recognize that I have 5 really good players on my team. Maybe number 6 can get in for about 2-3 minutes. 7, 8, 9, I don't really see them getting much better. This is my U10 team. I don't see them getting much better. They're double dribbling. They're not paying attention. I'm just going to play the top 5 full game. What do you think? I throw the idea out. And what would your response be?
You throw out a cover.
Right. So the option is we can sit here and we can talk about it. We can debate it. Well, if they should play, they shouldn't play. But if we know that our culture is trying to teach, then it's a non-issue. We say, no, it's a red light. We're not going to do that because part of our culture is that everyone plays. So then we don't spend time discussing it and we move on to the next issue. So that's one way that you guys can look at having conversations, that you can look at moving things along so that you really get the I'm sure, like you guys, are busy people, right? You got stuff going on. I know that. I've been watching you for the last half hour. You're like triple tasking. So how do we make our things most efficient? How do we move things along? So this is one tool. We'll talk about some other tools in, the next little bit of time. But, again, think about ways that you might be able to use this. The other thing that I want to mention about culture shaping is that if you guys don't do it, no one's going to do it. You know this. I don't have to tell you, but nothing will happen unless someone acts. So you guys have to think about, so who is it going to be? Is it going to be us? Is it going to be Coach Mish? Is it going to be someone else, some other coach that you think would be great at this? Are we going to bring someone in? And then as you were saying at the beginning, do we have to get someone from the church group, from the church family who's going to come in and be the leader on this culture component, whatever it is, but to figure out who's going to act and make sure they know. You can put that there. Sorry. But they know that they're going to act. No, I insist. Who wants to have their person on their lap the whole time? So making sure that we have that and considering your role. Where we're going to spend the bulk of our time are on these 3 principles. So I won't talk about them right this second, but structural pillars, setting up what is that foundation, setting the table, which is prevention. How do we set things up so that we make sure we do things well? And then fixing broken windows. So if something's going wrong, how do we address it? And when do we address it?